These are the 13 most important films of all time.
To us, this is
Written by. So, we just jumping back in the stew.
Yeah, we're back in the studio.
It's been a minute since we just been
podcasts.
Yeah, we've been busy making movies.
Yeah,
we ain't been talking about them.
Which, quick update before we get into this episode. Yeah. We said we were shooting a short film a month. We've been doing that.
We never said we were going to release one every month.
Yeah. But the updates for you guys is our horror short, Evil Vinyl 1982 from June? That was June.
Yeah, June.
Yeah, our short from June, we are getting a professional sound editor to do a sound mix on it, and we're going to submit it to some horror festivals, but
it'll be out soon.
Yeah, as soon as that sound mix is done. None of the festivals we're submitting to say that it can't be online, so we're going to post that as soon as we have it. And then this past
July film,
we shot a film called Buck Bentley Storm Chaser. And I'll give you a little sneak peek right now. This is a comedy film. It might be the funniest thing we've shot. We are
100%
in love with it. The hold up for that is we bit off just a little more than we could chew when it comes to the visual effects. But
we got a little cocky.
But with the extra time, it's
is coming together.
Yeah. It is crazy we thought we could do that in a week. But
to be fair, we did it in 2 weeks.
Yeah. We've screened a rough cut to a few of our filmmaker friends, and we think we got something really great on our hands here. So
we cook it, man.
Yeah.
We cook it. But now it's time to talk about 13 films each that have shaped who we are. 13 films to get to know us.
Yeah. So in theory, if you watch all 13 of these films, you'll understand us. All of a sudden, all of our weird idiosyncrasies, weird decisions we make, it should all make sense.
Should make sense. And I guess what's 13 times 2? Was it 26?
Yeah.
Technically, it's 26 films because we did 13 each.
Yeah. So
let's jump into those. You go first. Should we start at the bottom? Well, do you have an order to yours? I don't have an order to mine.
I did make an order.
Okay.
I wanted to set a healthy dose of the serious ones and the kind of funny, ridiculous ones. So.
Oh, okay.
I do have an order, but it's not from worst to best or anything.
Okay, mine either. Mine's kind of the ones towards the top are really my favorite films, as well as ones that are just to get to know me, and then the ones towards the bottom are just that may have meant something to me a long time ago and shaped me. Sure. But I wouldn't exactly be this is my favorite movie.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you should work your way up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Again, these aren't necessarily the films we think are the best or even our favorite to a degree. It's just these describe us.
Yeah.
Pivotal moment in our life, the main character is similar to us, any sort of reason like that.
Yes. You can go first.
Yeah. So my 13th is
13 reason.
On the way over, it was I couldn't think of my 13th.
I've got a lot of 13th reasons why.
Yeah. My 13th is Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith. So
is this a childhood thing?
This was a very pivotal movie. This came out when I was 11. It consumed my life. But the big reason it's on here is not the best movie in the world or anything. Although for a childhood movie, I think it's pretty great. There's some great almost Shakespearean level drama in there. Cool fight scenes.
Politics.
Exactly. Yeah, you get politics and all that too.
Yeah.
But the big reason it's on here is this movie is the reason I am a filmmaker.
That's a pretty big movie.
Yeah, I was very obsessed with this movie at the time, and I was just reading and looking online every bit of Star Wars Episode 3 I could get. There was this book that showed the behind the scenes of one of the Star Wars movies, and that was the first time I was oh, movies are shot out of order and all the actors aren't there at one time. But then the big thing was I got the DVD of this movie, and it has one of the best behind the scenes documentaries I've ever seen. It goes into everything it took to make 1 minute of the film. They take
Dang.
1 minute of a scene and they show every single person, all the way from the director to the storyboard artist to the actors to Crafty. It breaks down every single position on a film set. So
Dang.
very, very pivotal moment. So that's why that's on here. That shaped me for sure.
Dude, I have one that's like that on my list.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm changing my list as we speak right now, actually.
Okay.
Okay. And actually, I'm going to change the order of my list so that mine kind of matches up with yours. Right
Okay,
here.
cool.
Okay, so my number 13, for similar reasons,
Yeah.
it's the 2002 Spider-Man. Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire.
Nice. Okay.
I watched this movie probably a million times as a kid. I had the DVD, and the special features had a very similar, where it went through each department, the CGI of how they made the webs, the costume of how they did it went through every single thing. And I remember being like, whoa, one day I want to be Spider-Man.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Also, like, behind the scenes DVDs back in the day, it was pivotal for so many filmmakers. Like, kids these days just don't have that.
You got to watch a YouTube video essay.
Yeah, which, I mean, you know, there's like Film Riot and stuff, which is cool. But
that is awesome. Yeah.
like, I didn't see this until much later, but for most people, it was the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes. Like, those are crazy.
I still haven't even seen those movies.
You need
but
to.
I will.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely make money off of it because I'll make it a YouTube video. Okay, your number 12 movie.
Turn me up a little. Okay.
Turn me up in the stew.
Turn me up in the headphones. My number 12, I didn't even mean to put this here, but my number 12 is Short Term 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember you've talked about this.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. It's about a woman that works at a foster home and all the things that go on in the foster home. At the time of filming this, David Gallagher Jr. was the most famous person in the cast, but it caught a lot of actors right before they got big. So it's Brie Larson's first starring role. Rami Malek plays a comic relief character.
Oh, I bet that's good.
Yeah. Oh shoot, what's his name? Lakeith Stanfield. It's his first movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's his first role was the short film version of this movie.
That's cool.
And of course the
director before Atlanta?
Yeah, no, way before Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah. And he has one of the best scenes in it too.
Dang.
Like I would say there's one scene that's him, David Gallagher Jr., and it's just one shot that's slowly pushing in on him, and you're so engrossed in the scene you don't even realize until it's like tight on his face that you've even been pushing in. Woo. But yeah, it's a really emotional movie, and I think it definitely shaped the type of films I wanted to make going forward. It was the first like not super action or sci-fi movie that I really gravitated
a true drama.
to. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it shaped me in other ways I can't even describe right now. But yeah, you should watch it.
I should watch it. Maybe I would get to know you a little better.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
My number 12 is the 2009 Sherlock Holmes movie, the Robert Downey Jr., the first one.
Okay.
This is on my list because it's like, it's just like, it's me, you know? It's like, hey, if you want to know my interests, it's an action mystery. It's got some really fun and funny performances, some good performances from Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law. It's the exact type of thing that I want to be in. It's the type of thing I love to watch. It's just great all around.
Is this the movie that got the slow-mo guys to do slow-mo shots, or is that the sequel? Okay.
I don't know. It might be the sequel. It might be. It happened. They both have slow-mo shots. I don't know which one the slow-mo guys worked on.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen those in a while, but I do get that it's you, definitely.
Yeah, I watched them again not too long ago, and it's like, I know it's been memed to death, and we've seen that slow motion boxing scene a million times. It's so cool. It's so cool, dude.
My number 11 is Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I did Spider-Man 1. You did Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, which I didn't even know there was a behind-the-scenes documentary, so now I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's probably on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, but of course, as a kid, I was obsessed with like the action and everything in Spider-Man 2, but It's also like the first time I really identified with a main character. Like I saw a main character is like, oh, that guy's a lot like me. And that hasn't changed. In fact, I relate to Peter Parker specifically in Spider-Man 2 like way more now. Just in like, he's trying to be his best and do good things for everyone, but he's just so freaking stressed out. Like that's I'm doing a lot right now. I'm stressed out too.
Yeah, no, I feel that for sure.
Yeah, and
you were in the robotics team in high school, so there's parallels there.
That's right. Yeah, I there's an alternate world where I'm another Dr. Octavius, but I decided to make movies. There's still time. Now I don't sleep, but
there's still time for you to want to destroy the world.
Yeah. But man, I mean, it's just the best superhero movie too. Like we've gotten so many superhero movies and nothing has topped Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
The second one's so good. The first one means more to me because Green Goblin and Willem Dafoe's performance. Yeah. Like when I was a kid, dude, I was like, that's acting.
Yeah.
I was like, that is an Oscar-worthy performance right there.
Yeah.
When he's in the burning building and Spider-Man's trying to save, and he's like, ma'am, and he spins around and blows him up, and it's so terrifying. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh man, another thing about Spider-Man 2 is just such a great villain monologue. Like I remember just quoting to myself over and over again, like the power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Palm of my hand. That was right when he was coming off of Fiddler on the Roof too.
Really?
So he was just in his fucking bag, man.
There's so much good acting in that movie. Man.
That was the thing about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies is the casting.
Yeah.
It wasn't like stunt casting. Like he was getting some heavy hitters, dude.
Yeah, it's all, like the tone of it is so genuine and sincere, and like it manages to ground the characters just enough in the real world, but it's still not too ashamed of being a comic book movie,
right?
The way some other movies are.
Yeah, it's like they say that like the best actors to play Batman are the actors who would also be really good at playing the Joker.
Yeah,
where it's like. If you want a really great superhero actor, find whoever's playing Hamlet or Beowulf in the Royal Theater right now.
Yeah.
Because, like, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I'm on 11.
Yep.
11, another superhero movie.
Okay.
I didn't mean for them to be
Which is funny because you don't even, like, watch necessarily.
No, but when I was a kid,
yeah,
I was obsessed with superheroes.
Okay.
Obsessed. This is pre-MCU.
Yeah.
Batman Returns. So that's Tim Burton's second Batman movie.
Okay.
Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito is the Penguin. You got Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. This one is way darker than the first one. And it's the first time I had this on VHS. I watched it all the time. It's set at Christmas time. It's gothic architecture. You got Christopher Walken as the main villain, and he's like, we've got to kill the Batman. And it's just like, I remember watching that, and that was the first time that, like, visually, it was like a distinct style. It was like probably the first Tim Burton movie I ever saw. And I was just like, oh my God, like, this is beautiful. So, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I wish I had seen those Batman movies when I was younger. I did grow up on the Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Those were a lot of fun.
Dude.
But yeah, Tim Burton has such a specific style. And I bet like being exposed to that as a young age would be...
It's magical. It's magical. And also Batman was just like the most important person in my life. I had probably 100 Batman action figures. All I watched was Batman, old Batman movies. like when I was a kid and you were like, hey Chase, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would have been like, Batman. If not Batman, I'll settle for being Robin. Like I thought that like that was a career route I could take. It's like, well, I'll just be Batman.
Just a few $1 billion away.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right. Number 10. Hot Fuzz.
Ooh, yeah, that is a very you movie.
Yeah, man, this definitely as like an up and coming filmmaker, like kind of shaped my comedy style.
Yeah,
because I was very into comedy movies, but like it's such a specific, like visually compelling movie as a comedy. But outside of just me as a filmmaker, just me personally, it lines up with what I think is funny.
Yes.
Like, I don't think I laugh at any other movie more than this one. So like, if you want an insight into my humor,
it's
like,
this movie.
And it's like it manages to be really smart and really dumb at the same time, which is what I love.
That is a very, like, if there was a way to describe your humor, that is.
Yeah.
I've seen Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
It's not as super impactful to me, but I didn't see it until I was older.
Sure.
Yeah. I feel like, and I do think this is a difference between you. I feel like every like upcoming filmmaker has a Edgar Wright phase.
Or at least everyone our age definitely does.
I feel like a lot of them get stuck there. Yeah. I think that you like went through that phase and then like elevated past it to where you're not just stuck as like an Edgar Wright ripoff.
Yeah. Well, I think I got everyone our age. Like, Edgar Wright is kind of the only person that did really great visual comedy. And so when you want to make comedy movies, you instantly just start copying everything he does.
Yeah.
I did enough music videos early in my career for like Shama and people that I was able to get all that out of my system. Like, you look at Homeschool Anthem, the video we did, it's a bunch of whip pans and everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I did that. I satisfied that urge. And now I get to figure out like what I specifically want to do.
Yeah.
Now that I've gotten to try that out. So.
Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay, my number 10 is Young Frankenstein, 1974.
I was expecting this one on here.
Yeah. Gene Wilder. Like, when I think about like my on-screen comedy, like how I want to do comedy for film, Gene Wilder is the prime example.
Yeah.
He plays it 100% sincere. There is not a taste of irony, even though he's doing mostly parody movies.
Yeah.
And he plays it like it's the most serious movie in the world, and it's absolutely hilarious. That tone of like the Mel Brooks parody films, where it's like, it's not Ryan Reynolds, it's not making fun of the genre, it's celebrating the genre in a ridiculous way. And so if you look at like probably the most successful thing that I've written is the Hallmark parody shorts, and those are pretty much the exact same tone as like a Young Frankenstein. It's just Hallmark movie instead of old Frankenstein movie.
Yeah. So my early music videos copying Edgar Wright, like those are you copying Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Now I knew something monster related would be on here.
I love that gothic feel of like, it's a creepy haunted mansion with lightning strikes. That's just the visual style that I just love.
Yeah. It's number 9.
Yes, number 9.
All right. My number 10 was Hot Fuzz. My number 9 is Hot Rod.
Ooh, I knew this one. I thought this one would be higher on your list.
Yeah. I mean, my list isn't in like an order, ranked order or anything. But Hot Rod, a lot of the same things as Hot Fuzz, but Hot Rod just hits like my stupid sense of humor so well. It's probably behind Hot Fuzz, like the thing I've laughed at the second most.
Yeah.
But also, like, the reason Hot Rod is a movie to get to know me is it's just a movie that I've shared with friends a lot, like over and over. A lot of different friend groups, a lot of different friends. Yeah. We all bond over Hot Rod.
It's the movie that's like, hey, what should we watch? Let's put on Hot Rod.
Yeah. And like my friend group in college, whenever we started hanging out with a new person, we would all watch Hot Rod together. And the new person didn't know it, but it was kind of our way of testing if they could really hang with us. Like, if they didn't get Hot Rod, we knew they eventually wouldn't get us. And I still use that method now. Like it is a great indicator. Like, I showed my last ex Hot Rod, she wasn't into it, and I should have known from there. But
from now on, all of your first dates are just to see Hot Rod.
Yeah.
You're just watching her the whole time like this.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, I mean, you don't want to, like, put too much pressure on like showing a new date a movie, but like low key there is a lot of pressure though.
That's probably why we work so well together though. It's because we
both
both think
Rod.
like it's like okay, the top comedy is Hot Rod.
Yeah. Man, if y'all haven't listened to our Rival Pitches episode where we pitch Hot Rod 2 movies.
I forgot we did that.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite pitches of both of us.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I need to go back and listen to those.
Yeah.
I remember yours. I don't remember mine. That was always been my problem with Written By is I never can remember what I wrote.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 9, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? 1988, Robert Zemeckis. This movie, man, is just like, it's just so cool. Every time I watch it, I'm like, is this my favorite movie? And I'm like, no, I can't be, but it could be. I love the animation mixing with the live action. Yeah. I love how goofy it is. It's a mystery. It's like Chinatown, essentially.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know. It's just something about it. Like, I could watch that movie. I don't rewatch a lot of movies. I could watch that movie probably every day and not get tired of it. Like every scene has so much going on in it. It's like you can watch it a million times and not catch every little fun gag that's going on. I just think it's so much fun. It's just a blast.
Yeah. No, it's the perfect like movie magic. Like all the effects they were doing like kind of still haven't been topped.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And then also it's like I love cartoons. And so there's like you see like Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny skydiving in the same scene, and you're like, whoa, that's cool. And you see all the different characters. I've always really liked those like sandbox characters, like the Muppets or the Looney Tunes or old Disney, where it's like you can just kind of take these characters and then have them tell any kind of story. You can do, literary adaptations or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. All right, number 8. And number 8 is Ikiru. This is 1952 Kurosawa movie.
Okay.
So black and white Japanese movie, but it is a movie everyone should see. And it's when you say black and white in foreign language and old, those are like the 3 things that nobody wants to watch.
You pretentious.
But no, everybody would get something out of this movie. Like essentially what it is it's about an old Japanese man. He's worked this like pencil pushing bureaucratic job where people just pass work around, never get anything done, and he hates his job and his life and everything. And he gets diagnosed with stomach cancer, and he only has a little bit left to live. And so it's him just trying to figure out how to get his life back together. What is the meaning of life? That's the whole question of the movie. And there are a lot of movies like that, but none execute it like this. Like it is a movie that for real, like changed my life after I saw it and just my outlook on everything. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not just like a sentimental, like just be happy or be nice to people type of moral. Like it's just something you have to see, and it's one of the best movies for a reason. They did an English remake, like they did a British remake 2 years ago with Bill Nighy, and people liked it, but there's no reason for the remake. Like part of what makes this movie great is that it takes place in 1952 in Japan right after the war. And even though it was such a different time and it was so long ago, like everything those characters are dealing with are like still 100% relatable to life today. And it just gives you a whole new perspective on humanity. And of course it's Kurosawa, so like it's really innovative from a filmmaking perspective. He's doing a lot of really interesting choices that people are still copying to this day.
He's just on the top of his game.
Yeah.
What is it? It's probably that one, and then Seven Samurai is like his most famous.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
I need to watch that. I haven't really watched any Kurosawa.
I mean, I've only seen 2 movies of his all the way through, and I've seen like half of Seven Samurai. Yeah, Dreams is good.
Yeah, yeah, you've talked about that one before.
Yeah.
That was number 8. My number 8, Addams Family Values. Now this is the sequel to Addams Family.
We were talking about this. I still haven't seen this.
You gotta see it.
Yeah.
The reason this is on my list, it's got the, the macabre vibe and the gothic, visuals, but it is bar for bar, line for line, one of the funniest, well-written comedies ever, dude. Yeah. Every line in that movie is so funny. And it's funny, it's because they're writing jokes in a box.
Yeah.
Like they have like what the Addams Family is. They're this macabre family. They're quote unquote evil. Like they're backwards from normal people. And so every joke is in that box of like what the Addams Family is. And it's a home run every line. One of my favorite jokes in the movies, they're looking down at their new baby and they're all like, oh, like they're so cute. And it's just like looking up and they're all looking in the cradle. And he's like, he's got my father's eyes. And she goes, get those out of his mouth. And it's just a throwaway line, and there's a million of them. The other one that's my favorite is lady comes in, she meets Gomez Addams, and she goes, oh, he's so handsome, what a lady killer. And he goes, acquitted.
Dude, there aren't too many of those, but just a really comedically dense thing. Like, I don't know if it's anything like Addams Family, but like 30 Rock, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, where it's like every single line, if you run it back, it's a genius.
Bar. Yeah. It's a great comparison is 30 Rock, where every line is one of the funniest things you've ever heard. Yeah, so that's vibe.
Okay, yeah, I need to check that out. Number 7 is Lady Bird.
Yes.
I watched this like 4 times in theaters when it came out. And
yeah. You also made Lady Bird Tokyo Drift on Written
right. By. Yeah, check out our Tokyo Drift Rival Pitches episode. If you want to hear what it would be like if Lady Bird drifted in Tokyo. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the best just personal family dramas. And like looking back on it, I think a reason it really resonated with me is since it's so hard to make a living in filmmaking, like especially in the past 10 years, most directors come from a lot of wealth. And so they're either writing from the perspective of characters that are really well off, or they try to write about like lower middle class people and it doesn't 100% come off as authentic. And like I was thinking about this with this list, like Lady Bird like kind of felt like the type of family that I grew up in, where it was like we didn't have nothing but like money. It was like a constant worry. And not necessarily my family, but like the family in Lady Bird, the dad's going through unemployment and stuff like that. And there's a bunch of really personal, relatable family issues. And it's also just such a grounded look at the relationship between a mother and a daughter. And I don't see a lot of movies that portray that super real. And it's also like, it's both dramatic and it makes you cry. And there's really lighthearted, funny moments in it too. So it's just the total package.
For sure. Yeah. I haven't seen Lady Bird. That's one of those movies I feel like I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've heard it pitched in Tokyo with the drifting. So it's like, yeah, I've seen it, dude.
Yeah, man. I love the part where she takes the car and it's like, wait, what?
You're like, what are you talking about? My next movie is Cry Baby, 1990.
Of course, yes.
This movie is probably one of the more important on my list because it's like, if you want to know my taste, the kind of movies I want to make, the kind of movies I want to be in, it's just Cry Baby.
Yeah.
It's tonally, it's that very similar of like, it's bad on purpose, which I like to do a lot. We've done a lot of the first time I watched it. So Johnny Depp, the reason I became an actor, I really love Johnny Depp. But the first time I saw him in Cry Baby, I was like, oh, there's levels to this. Like there's different types of acting.
Yeah.
Because I think growing up, you're like, yeah, acting is this thing. And then I saw this and I was like, oh, there's different types of acting. And like, like there's a part in it where he's he's making out with this girl, and it starts to storm. And it's lightning, and he freaks out, and he's like, ah! And she's like, what's wrong? And he goes, electricity makes me insane. And she's like, what's wrong, crybaby? And he's like, electricity killed my parents. And it's just so bizarre and weird. And it's like, if you didn't know better, you'd be like, this is really bad, but it's supposed to be bad. Yeah. And that's what makes it good. Okay. And that's why I love it so much.
Electricity killed my parents.
Electricity killed my parents.
All right. Number 8. Oh, wait, no. 6. We're going up, right? Yeah. My number 6 is The Shape of Water.
Oh!
It came out the same year as Lady Bird. And this was probably like the most influential year in movies for me. Because it was like Lady Bird, The Shape of Water, and Get Out all in the same year.
Was it 2017?
Yes. It meant that like all of the Oscar interviews and director roundtables and everything had those 3 directors.
So it was like Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig and Guillermo del Toro. Dang, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It really shaped me as a writer. But Shape of Water, I love monster movies, and I love like kind of fairy tale-ish movies, which Guillermo del Toro does so well. I might have latched onto this just because this was like the first Guillermo del Toro movie that I saw in theaters when it came out. But also I love the whole backdrop of not only is it like a monster movie where like the monster isn't big and scary, but it's about its feelings. And it's on the backdrop of like the Cold War. And it's about like this kind of cold, closed-minded, authoritarian regime versus like the little guy, and the little guy's kind of winning. And I identified with it a lot. And like I don't know how exactly to explain it, but like Michael Shannon's villain in that, I feel like represents a lot of people I've run into in real life, like especially like through like working at churches and stuff. Like I feel like a lot of these Christian influencers and pastors and everyone kind of act like him to a degree.
They got a little Michael Shannon in there.
They got Michael Shannon in The Shape of Water in there. And I mean, not our buddy Shama, but
no, of course not.
Other people, but I feel like that's an archetype that I encounter a lot. And The Shape of Water is about like kind of dealing and working around that.
Interesting.
And just the fairy tale-ness of it all. But it's like a dark fairy tale more so for adults, but it still has that childlike wonder to it.
Yeah. Have you seen Creature from the Black Lagoon?
I haven't.
You need to see it.
I mean, I've seen like parts of it.
Yeah. So I could, don't quote me word for word, but I believe Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, it's 100% based on that.
His pitch was essentially like, what if I did Creature from the Black Lagoon, except he actually got the girl?
Yeah.
Because the Creature from the Black Lagoon is all about like just this monster who's like trying to steal this woman because he likes her.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
Dude, last thing about it. I was just thinking about this week. It just dawned on me because it's been raining a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just like movies where there's a lot of rain in there. I feel like rain is really cinematic.
Rain and water in general.
Yeah. And
like Avatar, dude.
Yeah.
Just I like my movies wet.
I want to go in a sub right now.
I just do.
Yeah.
I like my movies.
Shape of Water has some of the best rain shots in it.
Yeah. I haven't seen Shape of Water. I need to.
Yeah.
I need to see a lot of Guillermo del Toro movies.
I think we need to do an episode a month from now where we each watch the other person's movies that we haven't seen. Because you're bringing up a lot that I've been meaning to see too.
Yeah, I haven't seen almost any of yours. Yeah. So I finally understand Robert.
Yeah.
Okay, my next film, Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed.
We all knew this was going to be here.
Yeah. Now, it is occurring to me that throughout, at this point in my list, it's been a lot of like childhood movies. It's been a lot of kind of childish movies. And I think that's because movies meant so much to me growing up, but I really didn't watch a lot of like prestigious films or like the big films that like maybe other people that are really into film now did watch. I just watched so much children's movies for children as a child. And I have this like kind of this theory in general that I think that, you know, parents and our community and our environment growing up plays a huge part in who we become. But I actually think the TV shows and the movies and the media we consume as children play just as big of a part.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like I get a lot of my ethics from Dragon Tales.
Yeah.
Or watching Arthur on PBS Kids.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the movies that shaped me to who I am are kids movies that I watched when I was a kid.
Yeah. Now I was thinking about that because like sometimes when you're like giving thoughts on a children's movie, it's like, well, why are you thinking about this so much? Like it's a movie for kids. Like shut up. And I get that to a degree, but also like part of me feels like kids movies should be held to the highest standard because they are shaping people way more than adult movies are.
Yes. But my thought process is we shouldn't hold them at the standards of adults are watching them. We should hold them at the standard of a child learning about things for the first time.
Yeah. Like not necessarily it has to track for an adult.
Right.
But kids have to be getting something good out of it.
Right. Like morally and thematically and just like it has to mean something more than just I don't know. I don't want to mean to get down
there
that
is like people talk a lot about like the difference between Bluey and Coco Melon. Yeah. And I feel like that's the same. Like Coco Melon is just it looks like AI generated nonsense and they know a kid will watch it just because it's colorful.
It's colorful and
it's
bright.
Gonna rot their brain. And
right.
Bluey, you can tell like there's a lot of care in it.
Because I think I don't mean to get caught up on this too much, but so it's like I'll use the Scooby-Doo 2 as an example. So it's like a lot of times adults will start trashing these kids movies that come out. Yeah. And they're like, it's so cheesy and corny and dumb and like it's cliche. And it's like when I watched Scooby-Doo 2 for the first time, and basically the whole movie is about how Shaggy and Scooby are screw-ups.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have this really, you know, quote unquote cheesy moment at the end where Shaggy and Velma are talking. And Shaggy's like, we wanted to be like you guys. Yeah. And she's like, we want to be like you and fun and free. And like, it's this really cheesy moment. But when you're a kid, when I watched that for the first time, I was like, oh, what a beautiful moment. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, it's not always about your achievements. It's about having fun and being who you know, because that's important for a kid to learn.
Yeah. No, honestly, like you've memed about liking this movie so much. And I knew it was like about Scooby-Doo or whatever, but you saying that, like all of a sudden it really like clicks why you would be obsessed with that.
Yeah. And also it just, Scooby-Doo in general means a lot to me. And I watched the 2 live action movies on repeat. I had them on VHS and DVD. And it's just like the you know, it's fun. There's mysteries. I like the visual style, but it really just boils down to like when I was a kid, I was really obnoxious and annoying and out there and loud. Yeah. And a lot of people didn't like that. Yeah. And so when you watch those Scooby-Doo movies, it's like, that's kind of the whole plot is like, sometimes people aren't going to like you, you know, like there's the part where they keep taking, Fred's words on the news out of context. You know, the part where he's like, I think Coolsville sucks. Yeah. And it's like, I had a situation in elementary school where I got blamed for like this, someone went and just wrecked a classroom. Oh, no. And they said I did it. Oh, no. And I was like, and no one believed me. Yeah. And so I really related when I felt like, you know, when Fred in this Mr. Ink get framed for a crime that they didn't commit, or they're being made to be perceived in a way that they're not. I was like, I'm like Scooby-Doo. I don't mean to talk so deeply about Scooby-Doo, but it's
cool.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, makes sense why you're into mysteries. Like if I could just have solved the mystery of who ruined that classroom.
I did solve it.
Really?
Yeah, and I confronted her in middle school about it. Oh, nice. And nice. And Savannah, if you're out there, I'll fuck you up.
Yeah. Savannah, you're an op now.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, what number are we? Because when you started talking, I accidentally deleted half of the list.
Oh,
so
no!
I was trying to like retype it.
13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. It was 6. I just did 6, so you would be on 5 now.
Okay. My number 5 is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad this movie came out when it did, because I feel like this is the best way to describe kind of what I want to do. In like, it is really silly and really dumb, but also like really heartfelt and deep, like all at the same time. And it's this weird smorgasbord of everything. And it feels like what life was like around the time that came out, like just post 2020. Everything was so chaotic, and there was such a mixture of it. Like there were so many extreme ups and downs, and that's kind of what that movie feels like to me. And the absurdity of the humor like really lends itself to that. Like it's not just a funny movie that just happens to be deep, or a deep movie that happens to be funny. Like that movie doesn't work without the absurdity of the humor.
Yeah.
Like they're both one and the same. And I love being able to like take complicated feelings about life and like try to make sense of it through art like that. And yeah, I think that's it. Also, I love the soundtrack to it so much. It should have won an Oscar for best score. It didn't, but it
won Best Picture.
It did. So I mean, we shouldn't feel too bad, but it like all the acting awards too. So I mean, it did all right. But the score,
everyone's like, dude, they sweep the Oscars, and Robert's at home like, it should have won Best Soundtrack.
Yeah. No, the soundtrack like kind of changed what I thought a movie score could be. And like that's really this next big budget film I'm working. I mean, big budget, like relative to what we're doing now for no money. Right. But yeah, the soundtrack's very influenced by that. Yeah. And the performances at the center. I just love like being able to tell such a sprawling action adventure movie across different dimensions and times, and it is still such a grounded family drama.
Very emotional core.
Yeah.
That is a very you thing. It'd be very silly, but it's still grounded.
Yeah, and I'm just very grateful it came out that year, because that's the year I finished my Haunted Fridge script. And it's made it a lot easier to explain that it's a movie about a haunted fridge, but also
it's more than
it's kind of like it is the like most personal, hardest thing I've ever like written before. And I think after seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once, people kind of understand.
They have a reference point. Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah,
man, we're getting really deep about really silly movies.
I mean, that's what these are, movies that get to know us. So yeah, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Death Trap. Now, this movie,
which one is this?
So this movie came out in 1982. It's starring Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve, Superman.
Oh, okay.
This movie, I saw it for the first time a couple years ago, and I think about it every day.
Yeah.
It's essentially like a stage play. It takes place in one location, in this one house. And it is like, if I could ever write a movie as good as that movie, I will be like, I've made it. Like, I can be happy because I've written a movie that good. Yeah. It's dependent on these two actors' performances as if it's on the stage. It's Michael Caine and Superman putting on just like a masterclass of acting. There is a mystery. It's kind of a mystery thriller kind of thing. But it's just like, I think about it every day. It's just such a good movie. It's such a good story.
Yeah. I need to see. I remember you talking about it. I never put 2 and 2 together, but you said you watched it like a few years ago.
Yeah.
A few years ago, you also just all of a sudden started doing Michael Caine impressions like all the time.
It was probably because of that. Yeah. That was the first, because that's the thing. Like growing up, we all know Michael Caine as the old guy.
Yeah.
But in this, he's not an old, well, I mean, he's not young, but but like it was the first time I saw him and I was like, oh, he's not just Alfred from Batman. Like this dude's got chops, dude.
Yeah.
He'll come up again in my list, but
sure. Yeah. I mean, no, he's great. He has probably the best book on acting for film.
Yeah.
You take any sort of film acting class, they make you read it at some point.
In the movie, him and Christopher Reeves are a gay couple.
Okay.
And that also is like one of the best like representations on screen I've ever seen.
Yeah, what year did that come out?
1982. Is directed by Sidney Lumet, which is who did like 12 Angry Men.
Oh, dude. Okay, 12 Angry Men was going to be on my list. I took it off because it was more so a favorite film and not a film to get to know me. But also, you know, Michael Caine writing the best acting book. Sidney Lumet wrote the best directing book. So
the match made in heaven.
That movie should be a masterclass.
Yeah, dude.
I need to check that. I'm starting to realize, and I think you said the same thing to me, like how few of your movies I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, which is very funny because we work so often together.
Yeah. Okay.
We should just swap lists and then just watch each other's lists.
Yeah. Okay. I tried to put numbers on my list, but it will only do descending. But my number 4 movie I saw very recently.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it on any other sort of list, but since it's a list to get to know me, I think this makes a lot of sense. But Wildcat. It is the Maya and Ethan Hawke movie about Flannery O'Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I watched it like 2 weeks ago. But
you talked about this because there's a line in that movie.
yeah. So it's a movie about an author, Flannery O'Connor. She I think like post World War II is when she was writing.
I guess, I don't know.
And yeah. She wrote about the American South a lot, and there were a lot of religious themes in her books too. She was very influenced by her faith. So like it's her faith and growing up in the South. And I had read a few of her stories like in English classes here or there. I can't remember for the life of me at what point, but there's one Flannery O'Connor story that as soon as it came up in this movie, I was like, oh, that was like embedded deep in me and I completely forgot about it. But that's kind of like, because I'm also a writer, and those themes are coming up in my work more now. Like I never felt like 100% at home in the South, even though that's where I've been all the time. But recently, like I've finally been analyzing like what it means for me to be here, because I'm kind of not leaving anytime soon, and I've been here for almost 30 years. And
damn, that was a sentence, dude.
I mean,
I'm not going anywhere. So y'all mark your calendars because I'm
okay. I mean, I said like the next year or so I'll be here. Yeah. And it's cool seeing a movie about a writer like that. It takes a really interesting approach because Flannery O'Connor, she moved to the big city to be a writer, and then she got really sick. I forget the disease, but she had to move back home, and she was essentially stuck in her small hometown in her room writing books in her hometown until she died. And that's not enough for a movie in and of itself, even though she's a really interesting person. So what Ethan Hawke did was they filmed recreations of some of her short stories and put them throughout the film. And they cast the main actors playing the real people as the fictional characters.
That's fun.
And which real person is playing a fictional person carries a lot of meaning to it. And it kind of blends the line between like what must have influenced her to write these stories. And so it recontextualizes kind of what the story means.
As well as, wow, dude. Dang, I didn't know that they were on one like that.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that, but it was, I think, the best way to do it. And it like the short stories carry a lot more weight. Like it really does, even though they're not real. It's like it feels as real to us as it would have felt to her writing it. Like it feels as real as like the work we do does to us.
Right. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. And then also it's just like there are all sorts of funny little bits about just being a writer. Like she has some line about how I'm working on this novel, but I absolutely hate it. So I've been writing a bunch of short stories so I don't have to look at it. And I do that all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever I have to be doing, I will instantly become more productive in every single other creative thing I'm trying to do.
Yeah. That was the line that you've been talking about.
Yeah. But Wildcat, good movie to get to know me.
I need to watch that, man.
Yeah.
My next one, Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl. Is the first Pirates of the Caribbean
Knew
movie.
This one would be on here.
This one one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's a perfect movie, especially like when you just like boil it down to like hero's journey, story structure, acting, like you just like boil it down to like the basics. I think it just knocks it out of the park in every category.
Yeah.
But this is the movie that made me want to be an actor. Yeah. Like I started acting like really young, like in theater stuff at like 3. Mm-hmm. And it was because I was watching the Andy Griffith Show. Yeah. And I really liked the silly cop played by Don Knotts, whatever his name is. Barney Fife or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I understood it was acting. Like I understood it was a guy playing a character. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And so I started theater really young. But it wasn't until I watched the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I watched them with my dad. So there's like that sentimental value of like, we just watched all of the movies together. Like they had already all come out. So we like watched the trilogy together, and this was the exact same time. This was around 6th grade, I think. So it was when I started really getting into like more than just children's theater. Yeah. And so, and this is where my love of like Johnny Depp came and like his acting style, because I watched these movies and then where he played Willy Wonka and Charlie the Chocolate Factory. And I was like, I couldn't believe that they were the same person. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it. And so I all of these things coincided where it was just like, this is the movie that really made me want to be an actor. Yeah. And so that's why it's on my list.
Yeah. I do remember as a kid, like seeing Jack Sparrow everywhere and then seeing a picture of what Johnny Depp actually looked like.
And being like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because my big thing is I want to be a character actor so bad. Yeah. But I'm not.
I mean, when people finally see Buck Bentley Storm Chaser, they'll get an idea.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Also, you were around the age that I was when I saw Revenge of the Sith, so that was kind of your movie.
It was my Pirates of the Caribbean. Very much is my Star Wars, because I didn't care about Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay, my number 3 is Don't Let the River Beast Get You. Matt Farley's Don't Let the River Beast Get You. If you're watching a movie to get to know me, my favorite thing to do is to film fun stuff with my friends, and this is a low budget movie by like one writer actor and one director, and they just pull all their friends, and it's very clearly just all of these people in this small town. Half of them don't understand what's going on. It's all non-actors except for Matt Farley, but they, even though it feels so rough around the edges, like it lends to, it just feels so pure. Yeah. And it just feels like a bunch of friends getting together and making stuff.
A movie.
It feels exactly how it felt to make movies as a kid, only it's adults doing it. But also, like, it's kind of what filming Buck Bentley felt like.
Yeah.
It was just like 4 of us, and a rain machine. We had a rain machine, and you were screaming, and
it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
The humor in this movie is so great. He has other great movies, but this is like, the timing and the pacing is just nailed so well in this. He's famous now for making music because he has like 100,000 songs on Spotify or something. But he has a song in this which is great. The River Mud Shuffle is there's a River Mud Shuffle. There's romance. There's a monster. There's drama.
It got everything.
Yeah.
You talk about this movie all the time. I gotta watch this. I gotta watch this because you do talk about it a lot, and his other movies. But
yeah.
Okay, my number 3 is The Last of Sheila.
Yes.
This is just one of my favorite movies. This is the movie that inspired Knives Out, Glass Onion. Mm-hmm. So this is written by Anthony Perkins, who is the main guy in Psycho.
Yeah.
And Stephen Sondheim.
Uh-huh.
And they wrote this. It's a whodunit murder mystery that takes place on like a boat. Yeah. And in my opinion, as someone who just loves mysteries and whodunits, I put this one on my list because it is the epitome of what I love about a whodunit.
Yeah.
It's one of the perfect murder mysteries. So, because there's a lot of different ways to do a murder mystery or a mystery. There's something like Gone Girl, or you do something like Zodiac, like that kind of David Fincher mystery.
Yeah.
But when I say I love murder mysteries, whodunits, I mean The Last of Sheila. So that's why it's on the list.
Yeah. No, that's a movie you talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Totally understand why. But yeah. Okay. Number 2? Yeah. Mm-hmm. My number 2 is Thunder Road. And this is a movie by Jim Cummings. He's playing a cop. I'll tell people about this movie and they look up Mad Max Fury Road. But Thunder Road. I mean, it was a first time director, like first feature or whatever.
Yeah.
And
based off of a short film.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's inspiring in that regard.
Yes.
Like they made $100,000 movie or maybe 300,000, something in that wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Something in the wheelhouse of like what our first feature would probably be made for. So it's an example of what something could be the next step for us. But also like I almost put Up on this list because Up is the first time as a kid I realized that like a movie can make you laugh and cry. But Thunder Road is kind of an evolution of that for me because I haven't seen a movie that masters both humor and drama to the point where like it's not just a funny thing and then a serious thing, but they're both happening at the same time in this weird complicated ball. And there'll be these really I love a good one take monologue, and there are several of those in here. And at certain moments, you just don't know if you should be laughing or crying. Yeah. And it's very like confusing, but like life kind of feels that way a lot of times. And it's also like, like it kind of shapes the way you view your everyday life. Whereas like, well, sometimes you get the good and the bad at the same time. And you just kind of have to figure out how to deal with that because life's complicated and everything. But also, it's just a great movie. And it's even like, it's the independent movie that I show people that typically only watch blockbusters. And it's had like 100% success rate. Everybody's into it. You've seen his other movies and not like them at all. And you would still
like don't put that out on the streets, dog. What if he watches this? Don't put that out there.
Oh, come on, man. He's got thick skin. He's in the movie business.
I have seen one of his movies.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah, which I mean, it takes a big swing. So it's to be
all
expected.
That's all me.
Yeah. No, you would still like this movie.
Yes, no, I definitely do want to watch this one. I picked a wrong first one to watch.
Yeah.
I should have watched that one first. Oh man, I can't clip that one.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of like it is within the realm of possibility that he would watch this.
Yeah,
but,
no,
we're gonna keep it in here.
We know people that know him.
Yeah. I totally forget. We 100% do.
Yeah.
I don't think about that, but we do.
Yeah. We're not just. This isn't season 1 of Written By anymore, where no one.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, let me say, I like the werewolf movie.
I didn't say which one it was, Robert. I didn't. Look, man, I didn't like the fucking werewolf movie. Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
You're not gonna like everything. All right.
You have very particular monster movie taste.
I just spoke eloquently about Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed for a solid 5 minutes. Okay, maybe my taste isn't exactly the one. My number 2 movie.
Shout out Jim Cummings, not the Winnie the Pooh voice actor, but the other
one. Shout out. Number 2, Scream. The first Scream movie. Another movie 100%. I consider to be just a perfect movie.
Yes.
Matthew Lillard gives one of my favorite performances ever. It changed me as an actor when I watched it. I watched the Scream movies for the first time when I was in college. Yeah. When I was really getting serious about acting. Like film acting and like trying to make things myself and wanting to be in the film world. And when I watched Matthew Lillard's performance in this movie, it really opened my eyes because it was like he wasn't worried about like looking cool. He didn't care about anything other than the performance. Yeah. And he went really big. He didn't worry about like being too much.
Yeah.
And it really that one really changed who I am as an actor. like there's one part where he's just yelling and he's just like spitting everywhere, and it's not attractive by any means. And up until then, I was like, well, you know, if I'm gonna be in this, I need to look cool. You know, I want people to think I'm cool and a good actor. And it's like, no, it's not about you at all. Yeah, it's about the character and getting that across. And so, yeah, super important. It's essentially a rated R Scooby-Doo movie. Yeah, there's a guy in a mask running around. Sure. They unmask him at the end. Yeah. So that, of course, if you can't tell already, that is a lot of what I enjoy. But also, I just think like the humor is great. Yeah. It's just such a well-written, fun movie.
Nice. Yeah. No, we've talked about Scream a lot on this show.
Yeah.
But great movie. Yeah. All right. My number one is Inside Out. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you know, I talked about Up a little, but I think like Pixar movies are kind of like the most influential thing for me. Like even you talking about Scooby-Doo 2 and how important like kids movies are in shaping you.
Pixar is a great.
Yeah, Pixar really shaped me a lot. And Pete Docter is probably the most influential writer, both just absorbing his work as a child and then being interested in filmmaking as an adult. He did Inside Out, Up, Soul. I think Monsters Inc. was the early one that he did.
That's the one.
But Inside Out I think is his best work, and just in terms of like breaking down the psychology of how your brain works in a really accessible way, and then the whole moral of the story of like sadness isn't a thing you have to suppress. You just don't have to feel up and happy all the time, but it's like they both kind of have to live in harmony. It was just like kind of a life-changing thing, and that's really impactful. And just all the jokes in it are so great too. And I wish this movie had come out when I was a kid. It came out when I was a little older, but
because it had done a lot for you.
Yeah, but even at the point it came out, like it was still very impactful. And the sequel came out this year, and I think it will have like that same effect on kids today. I think it does stand out that like some of the emotional moments don't 100% work the same way, and it just kind of points to like how tight of a writer Pete Docter is, and he had a writing partner on this movie too, but
who cares about that guy?
Yeah, who cares about but dude, everything works so seamlessly, and it's the type of thing that makes good filmmaking look easy, but then the moment you sit down to do it, you realize it's extremely hard. But it's one of my favorite stories, and the cast in it is so great too. That's another thing about this new one is 2 actors got replaced, and you miss them a lot. Like they're really tiny roles in the movie, but you realize how important they are. But
good voice acting really can make or break an animated film.
Yeah, and like the new voice actors that got are talented people. Like even like Tony Hale is one of the new people, and he's great. But
very great.
Like there are just so many little idiosyncrasies to especially Bill Hader's performance as Fear, because he's talked about this in behind the scenes stuff, but he's a guy that has like very crippling anxiety in real life. And I didn't even realize until I watched the sequel just how much he channels that into this really tiny role. So it's like every little tiny facet of this movie works perfectly. And also the Bing Bong's death, spoiler alert, is like the saddest thing. This has been out for forever.
I'm joking. I knew about Bing Bong.
Yeah. R.I.P. That's the single saddest moment in film history. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, it's probably up there with
Move out of the way, Schindler's List. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say the beginning of Up.
I really read the room wrong. I should have picked a different movie than Schindler's List. Now's not the time.
Move over, Holocaust survivors. Bing Bong died.
Oh man, I'm glad this is the last one.
Okay, I don't even know.
I mean, now that I think about it, the Holocaust probably is sadder than this imaginary friend.
Schindler's List is a fictional story, though. It's not based on an actual. It's not like Anne Frank's.
No, it's based on a real thing.
Oh, which one's not? There's one that's like very famous. Is that Boy in the Striped Pajamas?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know. Let's move on before we get in trouble. My number one is The Prestige.
Okay.
It's my favorite movie of all time. It's just to get to know me because it's my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. It's everything that I could ever hope to watch in a movie. There's time travel. It's a period piece. There's magicians battling it out. Yeah. There's a death. It's there's a big mystery reveal at the end, and kind of like the most important part to me is like you're watching two actors at the top of their game, Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, just putting on a masterclass of a performance. It's just so good, and it's like they're literally like rivals in the movie, so it's like you're watching them compete in acting against each other almost. Yeah, and they're just like it's like they're just pushing each other to the level where you're just like, I know the twist ending. Yeah. I've seen this movie twice. I've watched it 2 times. Yeah. The second time I watched it, I was like, oh, I wonder now that I know the big twist, am I going to like this movie as much? Yeah. I got so invested in the movie, I forgot about the twist, and it shocked me somehow again. Yeah. And it's like, wow, what a movie. Christopher Nolan, it's my favorite Nolan movie. It's my favorite movie ever, but it's my favorite of Nolan's work. And whenever I watch that movie, I'm like, it's such a shame that these actors are known best for Batman and Wolverine. Yeah. When it's like, they're probably like, they might be the 2 best actors of like that generation. I don't know how old they are, but yeah, dude.
Yeah. It is like, you bring up something interesting. Like you could imagine how other people would execute that premise. Like it is something that could just live for the twist. Yeah. And then it's no good to watch after that. But yeah, I have seen it multiple times and it is
so good every time. Yeah. God, man, such a good movie. Well, that's our movies that get to know us.
Yeah. So you watch all those movies and then you'll have us figured out. You'll be able to predict our every move. You'll know the next podcast episode before we even put it out.
You will, man.
You will achieve superpowers. You will have all of our passwords to everything. You can hack everything.
All of our movies are just R.I.P. Bing Bong 4-4.
Yeah. I thought about doing this gag. I wanted to just put Twisters 13 times. But
I do love Twisters.
Man, I saw it for the second time this past week. Man,
it was like yesterday, wasn't it, or the day before?
Yeah,
dude. Twisters, what a great movie.
Yeah,
a lot of people say that's not as good as the first one. I disagree.
Oh, 100%.
I disagree.
Yeah, and if you've seen Twister and Twisters and you're hankering for more Tornado stuff, we've got a short film called Buck Bentley Storm Chaser. As soon as I figure out how to rotoscope this dang window, it'll be out. But
guys, I don't want to give away too much, but we have like a full CGI shot in this short. Yeah. And it was not the hardest thing we had to figure out.
Yeah, there was harder stuff in there. Man, yeah. I think it's safe to say it's the funniest thing we've shot. Maybe even funnier than Strangler. But we got that. Evil Vinyl 1982. As soon as there's an edit for that, we will put it out either publicly or as just like an online screening for you, whatever the film festival parameters are. Yeah. And then we're shooting something this month on Tuesday.
Yes.
And we're also submitting that to a competition. So there is a hard deadline for it to be done. So it will be out this month because we've got to turn something in for that. So.
Right. And if it doesn't get selected, it'll probably live here on the channel. So.
Yeah.
And that's what we got going on. Thank you guys for listening. And hey, it occurs to me sometimes that, you know, we got a couple hundred people that listen to this show or watch this show on YouTube. Yeah. And that's really cool. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And if you're watching this for the first time, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast feed. But
yeah, if this was your first video you watched of us, you'd probably know us better than most people now.
Yeah. Oh my God, leave a comment with your 13.
Yeah.
We would love to see those.
Or if you have a Letterboxd, drop a link to the list.
Yeah. We'll put our letterbox in the description.
Yeah, we will.
Cool.
If I remember.
All right, we'll see ya.